the phrase "give us this day our daily bread."
Yeah.
Right. So
Sure.
daily bread.
Mhm.
The word for bread is pretty clear. I forget what it is. I'm sure it's in here somewhere, but it's bread. Like we know that means bread.
Yeah.
But the word daily that's used appears nowhere else in any Greek text. That's it. We don't see it used anywhere else. It's completely unique and exclusive to the Lord's Prayer in Matthew and Luke. Did you know that?
Don't they? No, I did not know that. And don't they have? I mean, there is a word for daily in Greek.
It is, and it's not the word in the Lord's Prayer.
Oh, really?
Really?
What is it?
The word in the Lord's Prayer is Epiousion. Epiousion. And
Epiousion sounds like use it every day.
no. Epiousion.
Yeah.
Or epiousios. And that's what it says. It doesn't say daily. There's another word for daily. And nobody knows what it means. It's like a coined word. It's like Jesus, or he probably spoke Aramaic, and then maybe he coined a word that was then translated into another unique word. But it's basically an original word that doesn't appear anywhere else. So
we have to look at the Aramaic. Then.
We don't even know what it means. Well, the thing is, we don't have an original Aramaic. We have an original Greek. Right. So that's what we can use. We do have.
We have some speculative Aramaic.
Well, there's the a Peshitta, which is the Aramaic New Testament, I believe, and that's in Syriac, or I think that's how you pronounce that. But yeah, so Epiousion. The reason scholars don't think it means daily now is because it's already in the verse. Give us this day our daily bread. So why would you need Why would you need this day and daily?
Well, it's
together?
Like give it to us this day and every day that comes.
Yeah, but even if you look at the reasoning that they originally chose daily, it's like the word daily isn't even there. They just decided it was implied, but there's no real good reason to decide it should be there. So Catholics have a view on this, and Orthodox churches have a view on this too. They think it means more like super essential or super necessary. So it's like something that you need above all else. Like you just spiritually, you need for your body, you need it for your mind, you need it for your spirit,
right,
above everything else in the entire world or universe or
this bread.
And then the word bread. So it's whatever that special word is, that kind of bread. And bread is obviously not to be taken literally. I mean,
right.
But Jesus does use the word bread in other places in the Bible. I think he says, I am the bread, right. He says. And then, of course, there's the Last Supper where he says, this is my body, and that's bread too. So he uses bread as an analogy as well. So, but it sounds like he came up with his own word, is what it seems like. He came up with a word that didn't exist.
Who, Jesus?
Yeah.
He made up a word.
Yeah, he coined a term.
He made it up.
He coined a term.
All this stuff he made up. He just made it up.
He coined his own term, and we don't even know what it means because it doesn't appear anywhere else. So daily bread.
Well, okay. So what are you saying? So what does it mean?
Well, we don't know exactly. That's the thing. We can say daily bread, but we should know that it really doesn't mean daily. It's not from the Greek word for daily.
So what I think about that statement, give us this day our daily bread, because of that, I am inferring something.
Okay.
Is that right? You're saying because I think that it means today.
Give us this day is there. Yeah.
This day.
That is correct.
Our bread, but it's just a character. He's characterizing the bread. In other words, it does come daily. It does come every day.
Well, it does come every day, but we don't know what that word means. We don't know what that adjective is. Yeah.
Okay.
So
what
but ousios could mean substance or something essential.
Right.
That's one possible definition, because you could break it down into the Greek. And the thing is, epi could mean anything. Epi could be for, could be before, could be of. So it's like, could be like super, on top of. Like, what is epiousia? What did he mean? I think the Catholics and the Orthodox churches are probably in the right direction, it seems to me.
It doesn't
which
require
means
all
like
this
basically
analysis,
just
frankly.
something super essential, super necessary, like spiritually needed.
Right.
You know.
Even if you were to, and that's what people do is, they dive into this and they get into the etymology and the translations and where it came from and all that stuff. And when you do that, there's a tremendous temptation to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Tremendous temptation to like study Bible study, as if knowing all of this somehow makes you closer to God.
Right.
And it doesn't. It actually is more likely to take you away from God, because God is not in the intellect. It's not in the words. It's not in the, the message can be delivered through words, obviously, through what people say. But, what is the daily bread? When I think of give us this day, I say the Lord's Prayer every single day. I say it multiple times a day,
right.
Actually. It's the only prayer I use. It's the only prayer that Jesus gave us. Mm-hmm. That's the only prayer.
Right.
That's the only one.
Right.
There is no other prayer. So that's the only one that we should be using. And there are ways to pray, but that is the prayer, the sentiment, I'm using, I downgrade intellect, and then I say, well, the idea of the prayer, the sentiment of the prayer, which connotes intellect, but it is an attitude. It's an attitude toward your relationship with God and how He comes to you in this world, in your existence, in this physical world.
Right.
So the daily bread that when I say the Lord's Prayer, the daily bread that I mean is strength. We get strength through bread. It's how we live, our strength to live, and the strength to actually come to God, to come to awareness, to come to consciousness in those moments, mm-hmm. and opening up that channel to God, which doesn't feel like anything. It doesn't sound like anything. God isn't speaking. You don't
right.
hear, if you heard God's voice,
Daniel.
I get, I get these emails sometimes, or these messages, emails usually, and people send me a message. You're doing wonderful work, and I was talking to God this morning, and He told me to tell you, and oh my God, this
great.
That never happened.
Yeah,
that never happened. So, yeah, the Lord's Prayer is near and dear to me, and it's an important thing. And I hear what you're saying. It is interesting. I am going to look up more about this.
Okay, let me just say,
and I'm going to dive into the intellect of it.
I think you're saying that just to summarize, the Word of God should be wordless.
Wordless, correct.
Right.
The Word of God
be
is
a voice
wordless,
talking,
which of
to
course is a contradiction, but
we can only speak
the Word of
language
God.
we're taught. So
right.
We have English.
English does fail us on many occasions.
A lot more than Greek and Aramaic.
Yeah, they had some pretty good.
They have some better words for this stuff.
Words, yeah.
We get a lot of confusion, and that's why it is interesting to me to study, to use my intellect, because the intellect, we're given an intellect, we're supposed to use it. It's a tool.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
You're not supposed to get lost in it, but you're supposed to use it.
Right.
And
how would you be able to bake a cake if you didn't have it?
I could probably figure it out.
How would you be able to learn how to drive a car?
Well, yes, those are some basic uses, but yes, it's a good point.
Yeah.
But I like studying some of these things because you hear arguments from people, mm-hmm. and you hear it, and you just know it's like, that's not correct.
Yeah,
that's not right.
Yeah.
They're misinterpreting this.
Right.
And almost always, I'll actually say always, I can go to the references that they're making, the verses that they're referencing, and I read it, and then I look at the word they chose. I look at how they interpreted it,
right,
and it means something different than what they've decided it means. Almost always, or it's like, oh, it means this, but in this case, with this added to it, it's like, or as you read, it's like, oh, this is an analogy. They interpreted it literally, or something like that.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
So,
and there are nuances too that just go past you if you're too caught up in the intellect of analyzing the literal meanings of words.
Yeah. One big one for that, which is important to us because we do we have the meditation, non-contemplative meditation, is Paul, where he says, "Don't let the sun set on your anger." Right.
Sure.
And he has that other. He said and translated into English, the verse that comes before that is "Be angry." It says, "Be angry."
Yeah, right.
So people love using that. See, it's a command.
Right.
Be angry.
Right.
And if you read it, he's not saying be angry. First, he's actually referencing a psalm, which is written in Hebrew, which doesn't say be angry. It
Right.
says something more like tremble or something like that. It's
tremble.
referring to it's likely referring to your relationship with God, like how you should view God.
When
It's
people
like,
think of tremble, they think of fear, and
they think of fear
that's
and then
another
anger.
word.
I know,
Yeah.
but now we're like 3 or 4 words removed from the
It doesn't
original
mean- no, I
meaning.
know.
It's like be angry, yes.
English
So,
fails us.
it does-
The
it does fail
translation
us.
fails us.
It does.
It's crazy.
So yeah, you should look into this word.
All right, I'm going to look into it.
Epiousios.
Epiousios.
Hold on. No, I think I'm saying it wrong now.
Epiousios.
Oh, yeah, Epiousios. Epiousion.
Epiousios.
Yeah. I mean, it is Greek. It is a Mediterranean language. So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? I want to do a whole podcast on the Lord's Prayer one of these days.
Really?
Yeah.
okay.
I think not that we can cover the whole thing in one podcast, but I'd like to do it one day.
Okay.
Okay. I had that in the back of my mind. You brought it up today, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of there's even a lot more that I'm tempted to say. We just don't have time to talk about it right now. But the fact is that the Lord's Prayer is the one single only prayer given to the world by Jesus Christ himself.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing prayer. So
And he even coined his own word for it.
he even made up his own word.
He
for
even
it.
made up his own word.
I never knew that. I'm going to look
Isn't that
up.
weird?
I'm going to check
It's pretty
you
cool.
on that. I'm going to check
Pretty
you
cool.
on that one. Okay.
And I like that because so many scholars today, biblical scholars, stuff like that, they're so strict and they're very rigid. And they really don't seem to have their own interpretation of anything. They
Right.
very much rely on sources and studies that came before them. And then when you read what Jesus actually said, it's like, well, he was poetic. He wasn't just like, oh, these are what the scholars said before me. And he was not a Pharisee himself. He
Right.
he came up with his own word. I think that's pretty cool. So
I never heard that before.
yeah,
Okay.
it seems like more people would know it.